When the HOA tried to stop me from renovating my small, single-story house, they thought they could box me in forever. They didn't expect that I would fight back, not only building the home of my dreams, but creating something so spectacular that it left the entire board furious. What started as a battle over aesthetics turned into a full-blown war that would change my neighborhood forever. My name is Mark, and I've lived in Willow Creek for nearly 10 years. My house was small, modest, and frankly outdated. It was the home my parents left me, and while it had sentimental value, it desperately needed renovation. The roof leaked every winter, the siding was falling apart, and the interior was stuck in the 1980s. So, after years of saving, I finally had enough money to transform it into something new, a dream home. My plan wasn't outrageous. I wasn't building a skyscraper or turning the place into a nightclub. I just wanted to redesign the single-story layout, open it up, add bigger windows, and create a modern countryside home with character. But of course, the HOA had other ideas. The trouble started the moment I submitted my renovation plans. I sent them detailed blueprints, new roofing, updated siding, landscaping upgrades, and an expansion that would make the house slightly larger but still well within property codes. Weeks later, a thick envelope landed in my mailbox. Inside, a letter stamped with bold red ink, rejected. The reason? Your proposed renovation does not align with the uniform aesthetic of the community. Large windows and modern architecture are prohibited. Single-story properties must maintain their traditional ranch appearance. I remember staring at the letter, stunned. It wasn't like I was trying to build a castle. I was improving the property, which should have boosted neighborhood value. But the HOA didn't see it that way. To them, my house had to stay as bland and outdated as the rest. At first, I tried to reason with them. I attended an HOA meeting, armed with charts showing how modern renovations could increase property values. I even showed pictures of nearby communities where similar updates had improved sales prices. But the board president, a smug man named Richard, cut me off mid-sentence. We're not here to increase values at the expense of community harmony. Your house will remain as it is. The room fell silent. I could feel the smirks of the board members. To them, I was just another homeowner daring to challenge their little empire. That's when the harassment began. I hired a contractor to begin preliminary work, simple things like roof patching and yard clearing. Within days, the HOA sent violation notices, unauthorized construction. Cease immediately or face daily fines. They weren't just targeting me on the renovations. They began nitpicking everything. My grass was too tall by half an inch. My trash can was visible from the road for an hour too long. Even the color of my mailbox flag was suddenly an issue. It was clear, they were trying to break me before I even started. I sat in my half-renovated living room one night, frustrated and exhausted, thinking maybe it wasn't worth it. Maybe I should just give up, sell the place, and move somewhere without an HOA breathing down my neck. But then I remembered something my dad always said, this house is ours. Don't ever let anyone tell you what you can't do with it. That's when everything shifted for me. I wasn't just renovating a house anymore. I was defending my family's legacy. If the HOA wanted to play hardball, I would hit back harder. First, I went to the county building department. I requested official zoning and property rights documents. Turns out, The HOA didn't have nearly as much authority as they pretended to. They could nag me about landscaping and mailboxes, but when it came to structural renovations, that fell under county jurisdiction. Second, I filed for every necessary permit with the county, and got them approved. My renovation plan was now legally backed. Third, I began documenting everything. Every violation notice, every HOA letter, every word Richard spewed at meetings. I kept records, took pictures, and filmed short clips explaining what was happening. And then, I had an idea. I decided to use the one weapon they couldn't control, the internet. I had a modest social media presence where I shared DIY projects. What if I shared my entire renovation journey publicly? What if I exposed the HOA's attempts to stop me at every turn? Not only would I build my dream home, but I'd do it in front of the whole world. The first video I posted was simple, me holding the HOA's rejection letter. Caption: they said no, but watch me turn this into the home of my dreams anyway. The video blew up. Thousands of views poured in, with comments like, HOAs are the worst, good luck, man. Can't wait to see the final product. Don't let them bully you. Encouraged, I kept uploading. Every time the HOA tried to interfere, I documented it. When Richard showed up to lecture my contractors, I filmed him. When the HOA sent violation notices for unauthorized dumpsters, I posted screenshots. People were outraged on my behalf. Meanwhile, construction was underway. My contractor, backed by legal permits, ignored the HOA's empty threats. Walls came down, open spaces were built, and soon the house began to transform. The more progress we made, the more desperate the HOA became. They tried calling county inspectors to shut me down, only to be told my permits were valid. They even threatened lawsuits, but my lawyer reminded them that they had no legal standing. Richard was livid. At one point, he yelled in a meeting, "You're making a circus out of this community." I smiled and replied, "No, I'm just building a home. The circus is your board trying to stop me." The neighbors noticed too. At first, some were skeptical. But as the renovation took shape, people began to admire it. A few even asked if I could recommend my contractor. One family quietly told me, "We're rooting for you. Richard has bullied us for years." What started as my personal battle had now become a movement. 6 months later, my dream home stood complete. Where there was once a dated, crumbling house now stood a stunning modern countryside home, open layout, high ceilings, floor-to-ceiling windows, and a porch overlooking the fields. It was everything I had imagined and more. And the best part? The entire transformation was documented online. My videos had gained over 1 million combined views. People all over the country cheered me on, sending messages like, "You inspired me to stand up to my HOA." The HOA, meanwhile, was a mess. Richard faced backlash from the community for wasting funds and bullying homeowners. At the next election, he lost his seat. New board members took over, ones who weren't interested in playing dictator. For me, it was more than just victory. It was freedom. I had proved that no HOA could stop me from making my house a home. But the story didn't end there. The videos continued gaining traction. A local newspaper ran a story, "Man defies HOA, builds dream home despite harassment." Soon, reporters were knocking at my door. I agreed to one interview, where I calmly explained how the HOA tried to overstep its authority. The fallout for Richard was brutal. Not only had he lost his HOA seat, but people started questioning his past actions. Other homeowners came forward with stories of harassment, from ridiculous fines to threats of liens. My videos had given them the courage to speak up. The new HOA board quickly changed course. They repealed several restrictive rules and even issued a formal apology to me. They admitted the HOA had no authority to stop my renovations and promised to respect boundaries going forward. But the sweetest revenge? Every time Richard drove past my house, and he did often, since he still lived in the neighborhood, he had to look at the dream home he once tried to stop. I'd often catch him glaring at it from his car, his face twisted in frustration. Meanwhile, my home became the pride of the street. Neighbors admired it, visitors complimented it, and the property value skyrocketed. What the HOA tried to destroy became the crown jewel of the neighborhood. For me, the victory wasn't just about the house. It was about proving a point: you don't let bullies dictate your life. The HOA thought they had ultimate power, but in reality, they had none. I took control, followed the law, documented everything, and turned their harassment into my platform. Not only did I win, but I built something that would last for generations. And every morning, when sunlight streams through my massive new windows, I can't help but smile, knowing the HOA once tried to block this dream, but now has to live with it every single day. And that's how I turned my single-story house into the dream home the HOA tried to stop. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe for more HOA revenge tales. Because trust me, the battles only get crazier from here.